All right, so I will again welcome everyone to this training, Selenium Training Introduction. In this webinar, let me just quickly walk you through the agenda for today. The agenda, the first thing that we want to cover is what is automation testing. And after that, we want to jump into the understanding of why automation is required altogether. Then to prove the point, we will try to take a look at the industry's preference to automation and the preference to the new skill set of automation. And then after that, we will try to understand how we can learn automation, and we can learn by ourselves or by joining a training. We will look at both the options, and then we will talk about what are the required skill sets to learn automation. So basically automation is something which comes which requires that any new or any person who's beginning with automation testing should have a little bit of fair understanding of a couple of things. So we will talk about what are those things which are required for you to understand automation and learn automation and become an expert in automation. And after that, we will give a brief idea of ToolsQA's Selenium certification. So these will be the items that we will cover today. So let me move on to the next slide. Next slide talks about what is automation testing. As we all know that automation is a process to automate application tests using special softwares. So what it means is that for all those who are manual testers right now, what it means is that whatever you are doing manually, you can actually write some code for those steps and you can let the program run tests for you. So instead of you trying to go through each page of your application and trying to find out bugs, a piece of program can do that for you. So that is what automation testing is. So you basically end up automating the whole testing process in your project or in your organization. Why is it required? This helps us automate repetitive tasks. What it means is that whatever for example, every day you might have to do a sanity test on the production environment, right? So it is something that you have to do every day. And if you're doing it manually, then every day you have to do the same thing again and again, right? So that is something we can call as a repetitive task, which you have to do throughout like whatever time frame you are in the project. So you can definitely end up automating those repetitive tasks, and it will free up your time so that you can pick up or learn new things. And then automation testing can also help us in doing regression testing. So you can write all automation tests for your regression test suite, and the way it will be helpful, because in the current industry standard, we are going towards the agile model of development. We are going towards the iterative model of development. So in iterative model of development, as and when with each iteration you add more and more functionality, then the regression tests become more and more important. So this is a very good platform. Automation is a very good platform to automate all your regression test suites. Well, there is one more benefit that you can see, and we will talk about the benefits in a few seconds. But yeah, I think we all got the point. Automation is actually an important thing, and it can help you free up your time, and it can help you better manage your day-to-day work in office, in your project. And after that, let us quickly take a look at the benefits that we have. As we discussed, you can automate repetitive tasks in nature. You can reduce the time to test application. As you write automation tests, then you offload your manual tasks to automation, and automation works very fast. It's faster than an average human being. So you can run your tests again and again, and it will be run in a smaller amount of time. So your time to test the application will automatically reduce. And then you can write automation tests in such a way that there is no manual intervention required. So there could be a server or a lab machine that can actually do your testing for you, and you can sit and you can work on other things. Then this fourth point is that it reduces errors introduced by manual testing. So let's say you have a task to check around 20 test cases every day in the morning. So after a few days, it will become a regular mundane task for you. You will not feel that energetic and enthusiastic about the task, right? So whenever that passion goes away, the intention, the whole idea of having the whole idea is that you will end up making errors in the task that you do. So to avoid those errors as well, automation testing can be a good tool. You can just automate it, and all the areas where you can have errors can be reduced, because automation testing will not get bored of doing the same task again and again. Now, after that, the fifth point is proper utilization of test resources. So this is a very important point. So a manual tester at this point in time in the industry, he or she does the same task manually again and again, right? So there is nothing new that the tester is learning. He or she is only contributing to the same task again and again, or maybe some new task, but they are doing the same thing again and again and not that efficiently. So once you learn automation, it opens up a whole new area where you can learn and you can improve your skill sets. So once you do that, you will have plenty of time available, because you will be automating most of your stuff that you do daily. So that will actually give you more time to pick up new things. So that way you can have a project can have a proper utilization of their test resources. And the last point, which is quite obvious, is that it increases efficiency, effectiveness, and coverage. So efficiency is increased because now same person can do a lot of other things as well, because automation will give him or her more time. And then effectiveness, yes, automation tests are effective in nature because they can do the same thing without any error. If you write a code for a test today, it will do exactly the same thing which you have coded after a few days also, even after a year also. So the effectiveness of an automation test is far more better than a manual test. And then the coverage. Once you have automation tests ready, then you can think about more areas in your application that might need coverage. So that's how you will increase the coverage of your application. You will automate whatever you find new as a new point in your application. You will automate that, and later on, once you have automated the new testing scenario that you found, you can jump on to the next one, thereby finding out more and more scenarios in your application. So these are the couple of benefits that I have listed out. There are a couple of other benefits which are personal, in the sense that once you have learned automation testing, it increases your skill set. It improves your skill set, and in the current uh, world, having a better skill set will help you get more jobs, and having a better skill set will help you understand the programming world or the software industry better, and opening up your options as you learn more and more. So this was pretty much about the automation introduction that we had. Let me move on to the next slide. Why automation? So most of us might be thinking that why automation? Why do we actually need to learn automation? Well, apart from the points that we have mentioned earlier in the previous slide, there are a couple of other things that we should take a look at in order to understand why automation testing or why learning automation is important. The very first thing is industry requirements. So you might have seen in while searching for job, or you might have seen in your company that slowly uh, the development projects, they are becoming more and more competitive in nature. So earlier we used to have waterfall cycle, a waterfall model of development, where things used to take pretty much their own pace and time, and then the whole project used to be scheduled at a had a large number of days assigned to the project, so they have like pretty much good amount of time to complete their project. But as the market is growing, as the competition is increasing, companies want to release their product as soon as possible, right? So in that case, the new approach of development is coming in the industry. For example, now we are moving towards the agile model, the iterative model. In the agile and the iterative model, you don't actually make the complete product upfront. You get some requirements, you understand the requirements, you create a small product with limited set of features, and then with every iteration you add features to the product, right? So this is why it's called iterative in nature, because you, with every iteration, you add something to the product. Now once you move into the iterative and agile model, the release time decreases. So now every 3 months or every 4 months or even every 2 months, you have to release something in your product. That means there is a pretty much good amount of workload, good amount of pressure on the tester. And if the tester is a manual tester, it becomes very hard for the tester to cope up with uh, the aggressive timelines of the project. So in that case, you would definitely see that having understanding of automation, having the capability to automate, will actually let you fit into the industry requirements. So because of these contributing factors of like moving towards the iterative model and having shorter release cycles, due to these contributing factors, now you would see that the job pattern is also changing. It's changing from manual testing towards automation testing. Companies are asking for automation testers as compared to manual testers. They're looking for people who know automation testing. So automation testing has become a compulsory skill as compared to a desired skill or an irrelevant skill. So definitely to stick to be relevant in the industry, you have to understand automation and you have to be uh, at the forefront of the latest technologies in automation. Then the second point that I want to mention is industry needs. I have actually covered this a little bit already. So here we are talking about the same thing as we are moving towards agile model. Definitely with aggressive timelines, it's a lot of pain for the tester to keep up with the timelines. So the only thing available is automate your tests, free up your time, and utilize your time in a better way. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Industry preference. Now, now we have talked about how the industry is moving, but is there any data to show that? Is there anything that that can help us understand or prove our point? Well, we took a small comparison of the different types of jobs being searched from the period of 2012 to 2016. So you would see that the manual testing, you can see the graph here. We are at 2012. The graph is slowly decreasing for manual tester, right? And on the other hand, automation testing is gaining preference throughout. So there is on an average, there is an increase from around 0.7 to, you would see that at one time it was around 0.14. So these are relative numbers. So you might get confused, but it means that if you just look at the general pattern states that automation testing is on a rise compared to manual testing, which is on the fall. So we pretty much from this graph we pretty much can understand that we need to have a good understanding of automation, or if we don't know about automation, we have to make a plan to move towards automation and learn new skills in automation. Well, that was one graph that we picked up. It shows the automation job trends, and on the other side in the blue it shows manual job trends. Let's see the next thing that we have. So conclusion, what is the conclusion with that? The first thing that we can conclude is that we are seeing a decrease in jobs requiring manual testing as a skill. So for a tester, if you say you are a tester, then it is by default that you are a manual tester. You should be knowing manual testing. So from a primary skill set of being a manual tester, manual testing has moved to a default skill set of a tester. So you have to be a manual tester, and then you can actually, so manual testing is the base requirement, and it is above this manual testing, that you have to know automation testing also. So and as a trend, we can see that manual testing is on a decline. And on the other side, automation testing jobs, continuous increase in the number of testing jobs which require automation. We are seeing that there is a continuous increase in that. So sooner or later, when you try to switch job, or when your project switches from manual to automation testing, you would face a really tough time understanding or coping up with the project. So it's better we learn as soon as possible. Now, the second thing that we can conclude is that automation has become a primary skill that companies are looking for. So earlier it was a desired skill, maybe, or maybe if someone didn't know automation testing, that would have been fine. But moving forward, the scenario is changing. Companies are looking for automation testing as a primary skill set. So that's one good reason to learn automation testing. Now, required skills. All right, so let me just do it again. So what are the required skills? Now, to survive in the current industry standards, or to survive in the future industry standard, which we are seeing, is that from a manual tester, you have to move towards automation testing. Now, manual and automation testing, you have to move towards automation testing, but at the same time, you have to be a good manual tester also, because a manual tester can come up with lots of scenarios which is like the base skill of testing of a tester, right? So you have to come up with a lot of good scenarios, and that is something which is independent of automation. So you have to be a good manual tester, but at the same time, to perform well in your organization, or to be productive in your organization, or to be able to grab that new job with a very good pay, you have to have a good understanding of automation. Now, how can we move from manual to automation? Right? So that is one basic question that everybody asks us. How can we learn automation? So there are a couple of things before I explain this point, which I want to clear. So the very first thing is that learning automation or learning programming is not a tough task. It's not hard to learn automation or programming. Had it been hard, you would have found there wouldn't have been any developer available. There would be less number of developers. If you compare yourself with the developer, actually you both, a manual tester and a developer, almost have the same brain capacity, right? So if a developer can learn, a manual tester can also learn programming and automation. So learning automation is not that tough. The second thing is that the second question that you obviously would have would be, then why most of the manual testers exist? So the reason is that there is a mind block at times. People have mind block that they think that automation is hard, and at the same time they think that learning automation is a very painful task. You have to like devote a lot of hours to learn automation testing. Then the third thing that I've seen most people struggling with is a proper step-by-step guide to walk them through from manual to automation. So they are not able to connect the dots which can transition them from manual to automation, right? So that is something that they miss. And if you don't have a clear path from for you to reach from point A, which is manual, to point B, which is automation, if you don't have a clear path to reach from manual to automation, then you will get lost. You will get wound up in the complexities of the different aspects of programming that you will have to learn. So if you don't have the clear paths, it's very hard for you to learn. So in this slide, we will talk about what is the clear path that can lead you from a manual tester to an automation tester. The very first thing that you have to understand is the programming basics. Automation testing is programming. Identifying scenarios is manual testing. So if you are able to identify tests, that is called manual testing. If you are able to program that tests into code which can run again and again, that is automation. right? So automation is all about code. So you have to have a good understanding of the programming basics. You don't have to understand something at a developer level where you have to go deep into the technology, but a very fair understanding of programming basics will do wonders for you to learn automation. So the very first requirement is programming basics. And in programming basics, I mean, you can pick any language of your choice which you're comfortable with. Just try to understand the basics behind the language and just try to understand the syntax. Write some programs, understand how the system altogether works, and that is what I mean by programming basics. After that, you have to pick up an automation tool. So once you are good with programming basics, pick up an automation tool. It could be QTP, it could be Selenium, it could be Test Complete, it could be SOAP UI, it could be anything. Uh, but it should be something that is relevant to your job set, whatever you are doing right now. So if it is, for example, if you are into web testing, if you are into web applications, the tool that you would definitely look for is Selenium. If you are into mobile testing, or your company or your job or your project requires you to test on mobiles, then you're looking at APM. So just pick up a tool. Now all the tools, they are like, they are on top of a programming language. So basically, if you know the basics of a programming language, it will be very easy for you to understand an automation tool. An automation tool is nothing but a framework which is created using some programming language, and that framework provides you some facilities to do testing more efficiently, right? So if you know programming basics, you will be able to understand automation tool quite easily. And once you understand the automation tool, you also have to understand the associated technologies. For example, if you look at Selenium, Selenium as such is just a tool to control your browser. So it will control your browser. You can ask your browser to open, to launch a page and navigate to a certain URL. You can query the browser for certain properties of the elements inside a page, and that's all. And you can use those properties to perform your tests, but it's just about that. You can control your browser, that's all. But to write an effective framework that can be used in your company and that can be used by your team, that can run again and again certain scenarios on your application, you have to understand the associated technologies which are around there from your tools perspective. For example, in Selenium, you can look at TestNG as uh, a tool to create frameworks, and at the same time, you can look at Excel, Apache POI to read and write to Excel. So these are the associated technologies which you would want to learn once you learn an automation tool. And once you know the associated technologies, you would be able to create your own frameworks, you will be able to create your own test infrastructure in your company. So once you have the associated technologies, experience will come into play. So as you keep on uh, keep on writing more code, you keep on learning about new things in the automation tool of your choice and the associated technologies, you will keep on learning more and more. And when you learn more and more, your experience in that field becomes more. So that experience will give you an edge over the other competitors that you have in the market. So that experience will give you something which will help you create wonderful stuff in your company, in your project, and for yourself also. You can create your own testing framework, and you can distribute it for free, or you can charge people for that. So these are the four things, and this is the order. You have to start with the programming basics, you have to land up on the automation tool that you want to learn, then you have to find out the associated technologies. For example, in case of Selenium, the associated technologies are TestNG, which is a testing framework, JUnit, which is a testing framework. Then you have Apache POI, which is basically a Excel reading and writing jar that you can use to manage data, test data in an Excel. And similarly, once you learn these things, just practice more and more and try to implement in your project. And as you do that, over the years, your experience will grow, and you will become a master, or I would say that you will you will be actually moving in the direction of becoming a master. So this is the whole structure in which you have to proceed. Well, let me just move on to the next slide then. So how to learn automation, what is required? Right. So in this slide, we will understand how you can. So basically, in the previous slide, what we did, we understood the path, like what path do we have to take to reach from manual tester to automation tester, right? To from manual tester to becoming an automation tester. So this is the path, we know the sequence, but how can we start with it? The very first thing is you can actually do a couple of self-learning. So you can go around, you can search for tutorials and you can read them, practice it on your own, and you can self-learn and you can understand the concepts pretty well. So let us look at the slide. So self-learning is the first option that we have. You can obviously learn the required skill at home and can become an automation expert. Self-learning is very good in the sense that it gives you the ability to learn at your own pace. Self-learning helps you concentrate on concepts more so that they get into your head properly. And then self-learning is something where it will help you research for more topics around the same technology, right? So self-learning is good, but there are cons associated with it, especially when you're working. So when you're working, you won't get enough time to self-learn. So let us discuss some cons associated with self-learning. The first thing is learning material is scattered. The very first problem that most of our students face is that when they try to self-learn, they see that the learning material is scattered all across the internet. It's everywhere and it's scattered. It's not arranged in a sequence. So what happens is that most of them they give up on learning just because they have to collect so much stuff and they have to arrange it in an order. And if you don't know about something, then you cannot arrange it in order, right? You have to know something in order to arrange it in a sequence. So the first interesting point is that learning material is scattered. The second point is loss of interest. As we get hard topics and there is no one to explain hard topics, well, this is another problem that I have seen most of our students face. The problem is that you start with self-learning, you gradually move from less complex topics towards the complex topics. Somewhere in the middle you find a topic which is hard to understand, and when the topic is hard to understand, you try to understand it, but if you are not able to understand it, you might just lose interest. And in software programming, in the industry of software programming and testing, uh, the important point is that there are quite a lot of such topics. So in order to understand some topic, you have to have a teacher who can actually teach you that, okay, this means this and this is how you do it. So that is the reason quite a lot of people, they lose interest in the midway and they just give up on learning. Now the third point is topics which come with experience can't be self-learned. So let's say you just get around the second problem, then you will come onto the third problem, which is that you will only know that you have read about. But there are quite a lot of things that come with experience and is not present on the internet. For example, when we learn Selenium, you would easily learn about weights. You will learn that there are like these types of weights, and this is how you can code the weights. But you would not learn when to use what weight, because that is something which is not explained properly on the internet. So these are the things that these and similar things are are the topics that actually you cannot learn while doing a self-learn when you are in a self-learn mode. Then we have the final point that you can self-learn. Definitely, you can go ahead and self-learn, but you won't get the live experience. You won't get a live project. All you would get is you would practice on some website, and you would just Just give me a minute. So all you will get is you can practice on different websites, but you won't get a live project where you can learn from start to begin, from beginning to end. All you would do is you will just go around on different websites, you will play around, you will code some tests on those websites, and then you will come back. But a real project requires you to have complete end-to-end understanding. That is something that you will definitely miss out on doing self-learning. I would not say that you will miss out on live projects or on experience based topics, but I would say that it will be very hard for you to learn those things because you won't find them on the internet. So you would need someone, people need someone who have some experience and they can share their experience with you, and they can help you step by step to learn certain topics which come with experience. All right, so this was how you can learn, and the mode was self-learning, and you can definitely do self-learning. It's one good way to actually learn more about new things. But then we have a couple of cons here. So let us move on to the next topic. The next topic is ToolsQA's Selenium training. Now, we also perform, we also conduct a lot of Selenium trainings. You can definitely join them, but it's not a mandate for this webinar that you have to join it. But I would like to take this as an opportunity to showcase what ToolsQA and how ToolsQA conduct their training sessions. So based on the content that I have shared till now, you would see that there is a pattern. And we also talked about how we can move from manual tester to automation tester. There are a couple of things that we have to do in order to become a successful automation tester. So uh, the very first thing that we talked about earlier was that we have to understand basics. So right now we conduct training in Java. Java is a very good language. It's a wonderful language. It is appreciated worldwide, and it is being used by like large amount of companies. It's being used everywhere. So we pick this language up, and this is a object-oriented language. So if you learn a concept in Java, that concept uh, pretty much uh, almost without any modification can be applied to other languages, especially the object-oriented concepts. They are very common across languages. So that's why we pick up Java. We start with the Java basics. We talk about Java basics in the classes. We give a couple of videos on Java so that our students can learn from them. Once we are clear with this, with Java basics, we move on to Selenium basics. Now Selenium is the tool that we will use to automate our web applications. So we start with the Selenium basics, and then we move on to the Selenium advanced part. Now Selenium advanced is something which is required for you to efficiently perform, or at least be an individual contributor in your project, where in your company, given that you use an automation tool and Selenium is being used there. So we explain Selenium Advanced there in the uh, third part of our training. And once we complete Selenium Advanced, we start with a live project. So we take a project. We have a couple of predefined projects here. We pick up the project. We start from the very first step where we create our scenarios, and then we automate those scenarios. Then once the project is completed, I would say that live project is not yet completed. The framework basics start somewhere in between the live project, because in the real life you will have your project, and you will have to design a framework around your project. So once we have a good understanding of what our live project is and what are the scenarios that we want to perform and how we want to perform, we start with the framework basics. We start creating a framework around the live project. So once the framework basic starts, well, I think I just made a mistake here. So we have framework basics twice. But once we start with the framework basics, we create a framework after that. And once we create the framework, we incorporate the concept of Selenium Grid inside the framework. So Selenium Grid is basically available in Selenium, which can help you utilize multiple machines to perform test execution. So you can, on your machine, you can simply say that I want to run 100 tests, and these are the 4 machines on which I want to run these 100 tests. So Selenium Grid can help you distribute your tests across multiple machines on the network. So this is the basic workflow that we follow in our Selenium training, and most of the topics which are very much relevant to the current industry are covered here in this workflow in the Selenium training. So I will pretty much stop here, and I would talk about, well, I think we just missed on the slide. So I think that was pretty much it that we had from our side. And before I take up questions, I would simply say that if you want to join our session, if you want to join ToolsQA Selenium training, I will send across a URL to everyone who has joined today. That URL will be the enrollment URL. You can just click on that, and there will be a discount of around 30% on the Selenium training that is starting soon. And you can just click on that. That URL will be valid for 24 hours. So you can avail the discount if you want to join. So I will stop here, and that's pretty much it that we wanted to cover. And I will ask for questions. So if you guys have any questions, I think Laksh can help me out with that. Laksh, are you there?
Yes, Viren, I'm there.
Yeah. So do we have any question?
Yes, Viren, there are a couple of guys who have raised their hand and they might want to ask the questions. So
All
let's
right.
start with Sanjeev.
Okay, so all right. So there are two formats in which questions have come up. The first format is the questions has been typed in the chat window. So let us pick up first the people who have raised hand, and then we will pick up the questions that we have in the chat window. So the first person who has raised hand is Abhishek Singh. Abhishek, would you like to ask a question, please?
Yeah, I just want to ask about the certification that you have mentioned, right? Means
Yes.
how valid is, means it is throughout accepted or not? Means like many company have different certification, like HPQC it's accepted throughout, right? Every company reimburse that, or something like
Yeah.
that. Means it is accepted throughout or not? That QA certification, tools QA certification for Selenium.
All right.
Because in
So, hmm,
because
yeah,
means what I have known through the internet that there is no proper certification for Selenium that is accepted throughout.
exactly. So, Abhishek, that is exactly the case. Selenium is fairly new tool as compared to QTP. There is no official certification by by the Selenium guys. So, there is nothing official about the certification that Selenium anywhere in the world that someone is providing. But our certification is well accepted. We have quite a lot of people who have quite a lot of students who have got jobs based on our certification. But one point that I would like to add here is that uh, it's all about the knowledge that you get. So in the interview, people may just ignore your certification, and they may just look at the amount of knowledge that you have. So definitely we give a certification, and that is we have seen that many companies, they honor that certification, but I wouldn't say that there is an official certification that we provide, and I wouldn't say that this certification will be accepted worldwide.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So that was Abhishek, and let us pick up the next person, Drumil Kabaria. Drumil, you have a question?
No.
I think Drumil is not able to communicate the question, so we will move on to the next person. Drumil, if you have a question, just type it down in the chat window. We have Nawaz Sharif. There is a lot of background noise coming from Nawaz's side, so I would request Nawaz to actually type in his question as well. Then we have Sanjeev Kumar. Sanjeev,
Actually,
do you have a question?
yes, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, I am using Selenium tools and I want to learn self-study. So I
Mm-hmm.
am getting issue when there is a dynamic element. Suppose there is a countdown on my website, and
Mm-hmm.
when we capture the element via the XPath
Mm-hmm.
and use that, and at the runtime, the it is not found that web element because it is a dynamic web element. So how can we manage the dynamic web element?
All right, so Sanjeev, I will put you on mute, and I would just clear the context of this training. This training is not about picking up specific topics from Selenium, because it will get out of context for other people. So if you have this question, I would request you to drop an email to us at virender@toolsqa.com or laksh@toolsqa.com, and we will try to respond to your email. And if you go to our website, you will see that this question has been specifically answered with a practice page. So just try to take a look at our website. So I will just ignore that question for the time being. Well, these were the hands that were raised. Let me just quickly see what else do we have here on the chat window. So just give me a minute. Let me just pick up some of the questions.